back, Poke Nation. Jim Gazzolo, Heath, Schroyer. Many things to discuss. Things were happening here at the Legacy Center earlier today. This is the first day of summer camp for football, basketball. You had a kids camp here.
It's busy, yeah. So today is the first day of summer school. So we had
summer.
For
so
summer
we'll
school.
talk about school too. Okay.
Right. Well, that's why the kids are here, right? Or that's why our athletes are here.
Yeah.
So football, a lot of their kids reported today. A lot of the basketball kids reported to start the first session of summer school and workouts and all those things. And I'm not surprised that with those two coaches, they're up early and they're getting after it at 6 a.m. and it's exciting. And then we have football camp, little kids camp today. We have a girls or women's basketball camp.
Yeah.
Coach Wade has his camp next week, so it's a busy time.
I like his camp because he's trolling Baton Rouge with billboards. It's always been kind of a little fun there.
I do too. I kind of, I like that too.
Yeah, it's
Why
a little,
not?
little
I mean,
dig.
why not?
Nothing wrong.
That's right.
It's not the only place he has billboards, but it's the most entertaining, perhaps.
That is true. That is true.
All right, real quickly, the sale of McNeese. We talked about it a little bit last year, but this year with the camps, it seems like you guys are going a little bit more into camps this year. What does that do for your sale of your product?
I think camps are really important. I think that, listen, I mean, it's no secret. We have an enrollment issue here at the university. Our enrollment has declined over the last few years. So I've encouraged our coaches to really, really work hard on promoting camps because it just brings kids here.
Yeah.
And it brings parents. I mean, most of the kids that come to camp don't drive, and so their parents have to come. They have to drop them off in these facilities.
Yeah.
They get a chance to meet with our coaches, and they're just, and then the kids can have a connection with McNeese.
Yeah, I've been there. I've wear their T-shirts.
Exactly.
I got something. Yeah.
So there's, and again, recruiting for students is just as competitive, if not more competitive, than recruiting athletes.
Yeah.
So I think that anything we can do to help the other side of campus in that way, we're obviously willing to help.
Were you a big camp kid? Did you go to basketball camps?
I went to basketball camps a lot, for sure. When I was growing up, I grew up on a farm. So when I was 10 to 15 or so is when I was really into playing basketball. And my dad, when I was 13 or 14, said, listen, every week that you're not in camp, your butt's on the farm. You're not going to hang at the pool, whatever. So I tried to find every
camp
basketball
possible.
camp I could go to.
There you go. That's the real story behind it right there.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this because strange year for the Southland Conference that I've never seen before just ended. We had a football coach go and almost go from one school to another.
Yeah.
We had a baseball coach that is now going from Northwestern State to Southeastern.
Yeah.
That didn't really happen in the past in this conference. What's changed, and is that a good thing?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely changed. I think that it shows that each league each institution is very competitive. I don't think there's a lot of loyalty between hey, if you got something I really like, I'm going to try to go get it. It's just, it's evolved into college athletics, and that's just what college athletics is.
It's playing the Southland has caught up, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that when you look at athletic directors now, the ones that have come in the last couple years, they're very different than the ones that have been here. The ones that were here in the past, they were 20-year lifers.
Yeah.
These guys have, and most of the time, just been promoted from within, kind of like coaches were.
Yeah.
And now you're getting people from the outside, which I love because when you're in those meetings, you get ideas from different leagues like the SoCon, and when I was in the A10, when I was, and it's just, for me, it's so refreshing. I like it. I'm a competitive person by nature, so I like it.
Well, you have in football, you have 4 of the 8 are new coaches this year. In basketball, 5 of the 10 will be new coaches.
Yep.
None of them, I can't recall any of them having ties with the school before as far as being on staff.
Not the
so
new
it's
ones,
all the new ones are fresh.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So where's the change? What did you create with Will Wade and Gary Goff?
Well, I don't think I created anything. I just think it's the time. I think that like you said, the league is probably caught up. and I think that to the rest of America. I mean, listen, this is Division I athletics is a competitive business. It's not just everyone gets participation trophies.
No.
You know, and for us, you know, I mean, I had a head coaches meeting last week, and you know, I was very, very blunt with our coaches. Like, look, our facilities are best in the league. We're funded at the top of the league, and in all of our sports. Like, we need to be really good. We need to be good. There's no excuse for us not to be good, and we're going to hold ourselves to that standard.
You basically want to be competitive, but also win your share of championships.
Absolutely, 100%. And you know, like we've said before on this show, I mean, you know, we're going to have Coach Hill on momentarily, and you know, he's done a great job. You know, through the course of the last 4 or 5 years, you know, James Landreau has been good. We got to get basketball and football to go.
Yeah, well, that's.
But
I've been promised that's going to happen.
100%.
Justin Hill will join us after this on Poke Nation.
Welcome back to Poke Nation. Coach Hill, welcome back, my friend.
Good to be here.
Hey, well, let's get right to it. So, obviously, our season ended. What's your assessment of the year? Obviously, you know, you had a ton of wins, and the league was so, how do I say this, balanced, right? But talk about your assessment, obviously looking back and just on the year.
Yeah, probably still digesting a little bit. I mean, when you win 35 games, it's hard to call it a bad year.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, once you kind of set a standard and the expectations, even kids and fans and everybody, is to walk away with a trophy, and you don't do that after, you know, first time in a while. You know.
Right.
But you know, that's you're not always going to get there, but you got to be able to compete for them. And I thought our kids did a great job with that, handling expectations, doing all the things they did. But man, it's. Is there ever enough? You know, I mean, is there ever enough? You always want one more, right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Jim and I have talked about this on the show, and when you look at your program, you've had so much success recently, right? And so people just, and as a coach, it used to drive me nuts. It's like, oh, well, we'll do it next year, and we do it. Like, people have no idea how hard it is to win. And I think sometimes, especially in your program, they just get accustomed, well, that's just what they do. But so, I mean, kudos to you for having the expectations that you built from this program. But moving forward, obviously, you jumping right in full tilt into the recruiting. Talk about how you want to, you know, put a team together going into next year.
Yeah, I mean, every year is always a little bit different. You count how many guys you have on senior day. You know, we got, you know, obviously from a developmental standpoint, we've been able to develop guys that get drafted, even though so you're losing guys that had years of eligibility left. So that's such a positive. And then the age now, it's still in its infancy, but you know, the transfer portal, and so we've actually benefited, you know, from it more than been hurt. But yeah, I mean, just you got to go identify the guys that want to be a part of your program, that fit your you know, your culture and your team, and just want to be a part of something successful. And so the guys are, you know, in it every day, hitting refresh, you know, and that's just kind of how it is right now.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last week, Grant Anderson makes his major league debut, strikes out 7 of the 9 hitters he faces, gets 8 of them out. What does that do for your program as far as recruiting goes, and what does that do just for you as kind of a feel-good story?
Well, I think, you know, number one, you're excited for Grant, you know, and his entire family. You wake up to see that his parents are on a plane to head to Detroit and stuff, and I'm sitting there going, man, I'm sitting there pricing, man, how fast can I get to Detroit from Lake Charles? And like, it's not going to work out, so I have to make a home series. So, but excited for him and his family. That was a number one, and him, the success he had, and then yeah, I mean, I think there's a personal bit of excitement that you have that you're able to develop players that give them the opportunity to do that. So, you know, the text that he sent to me was extremely, just extremely appreciative of things. But, you know, we're just a part of his journey. I mean, he did that, but we were a part of it. And but it's good for, you know, his notoriety from the program, and to see what all his teammates and how their excitement, what they post and things. So it's been really good.
You guys changed his arm angle basically when he got here. He struggled early as a freshman. But it does show how much development is in to go 8-0 as a sophomore. How much pride do you take in the fact that you guys were able to do that and help him along the way? Because, one, he was willing to do it, but two, you guys saw something.
Well, that's the one thing that gets missed with all of it. Any change, anything, like the kids got to be willing to do it, and the willingness to do what it takes to be successful. If you don't have that, then you're not going to have anything. But they don't always fit. They don't always work. But his willingness to do it, the ability to see the success that he had, I thought that was pretty special. And so you get excited about developing kids, and sometimes it just takes a minute.
Grant Rogers says the same thing, that he changed completely by being here and some of the things he does. First of all, he works a lot quicker. Mm-hmm. What was it about him, and what do you think of his development last year? Because he's now second team All-American. Mm-hmm. I think the highest guy ever you've had in collegiate baseball. So what about his year?
He goes from being pitcher of the year and the desire to want to get better, and there was just a change. I mean, it wasn't just a whim or anything like that. I mean, when you see the analytics and stuff and metrics that you see from TrackMan and different numbers, you want to be able to leverage those in what you do. So, and we did that, and he was willing to do it. So it was a combination effect of what he saw, or what he was able to do, what Coach Zaleski saw, and then just again courage to go from being really good to great to one of the best pitchers in the country. So
you guys, as far as analytics goes, are way ahead of the game in college baseball, especially the Sultan, or at least you're one of the first to do it. What has that taught you about the analytics and about how closely it's changed?
I think no matter what you're doing, you got to be ahead of the curve. Whether it be analytics, whether it be nutrition, whether it be just finding ways to be creative with your whatever you're doing. I think you have to figure out what the next thing is, because if you're waiting for everybody to do it, you're already behind in that. So we got some smart people here. We had some people jump on board. Obviously, you're familiar with Jared Morris and everything that he was able to do. And so, man, just a really big part of the puzzle that we had this year. Thankful to have him.
No, an interesting thing to watch a practice with you guys is he's basically analyzing the pitch tenths of seconds after the pitch comes in every practice.
Yeah, you got a chance to see that as well. Yeah.
Pretty amazing to see.
Yeah.
When we come back with Coach Hill, we're going to talk about the future of McNeese baseball after this on Poke Nation. We're back with Coach Justin Hill, McNeese State baseball. Coach, we talked a little bit about analytics before. What have you learned about the analytical game now that you're really into it, and how much have you been able to teach it? And what's its biggest impact?
Well, I think the biggest thing you got to do with the kids is you got to get them desensitized to it a little bit, because it's like, when kids are little, they see the radar gun. They just want to see how hard they can throw rather than just get the information. So once you just have that be desensitized a little bit, it's probably the number one. And then you've got all these numbers, almost too many numbers, and you got to figure out which numbers you're going to look at. And man, there's a lot of trial and error because we're still in the infancy side of it, and just. It all goes back to players making plays, and it all goes to guys, the people you put them in the right position to be successful. You can't lose sight of that. But after that, you just want to be able to put kids in the best situation for them to be successful.
So, Coach, let's get into, because I'm fascinated by it, because when I coached in basketball, I mean, the analytics in basketball, the simple one was, the 3 highest percentage shots in basketball was a layup within the paint, a free throw, and a 3. Mm-hmm. It discouraged you from taking mid-range jump shots. Okay. So what are some analytics at Poke Nation from baseball that are kind of like, the go-to, if you will, like that maybe the people wouldn't know? Yeah,
I mean, one of the things, if people that noticed the TrackMan box that we had up there this year, and a couple things that you would notice with, a couple of our pitchers, like extreme examples, Grant Rogers and Ty Abraham, 2 completely totally different analytic guys. So Ty Abraham was a high sprint rate, high vertical approach angle. What that means is how the baseball enters the strike zone. Right. He wants to pitch at the top of the zone because he creates fly balls and swings and misses. Whereas Grant Rogers would create soft contact ground balls, things like that. He had a lower spin rate, higher induced, like all those, or lower induced vertical rate. So those are just some examples of some things you see. Again, do you see that? No, a lot of times you just see the velocity. Very similar velocities, but how the hitters swing at it, how it feels just a little bit different.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's why all these guys are coming from the Ivy League to be general managers in baseball, because they understand these things.
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird game, but for you guys in general, we talked a little bit about this. One thing I noticed is the instantaneous what's a ball and a strike, and how that affects the hitter and what they swing and don't swing at. How much did that change your game?
I think it helped our guys tremendously. They had a great awareness of what the strike zone was. It's funny, even the first week or so, they were arguing with the machine, the Doppler radar. Of course, that just goes to tell you how argumentative we are in those. But again, that goes with the desensitizing process of we started to understand it, accept that that's how it is. So helped our guys tremendously with that. And then we'll just find what the next, thing to leverage is.
What about kids coming into the program? Do they want it? Do they want that now?
Yeah, I think they do. A lot of them have it already, whether it be with Rapsodo and some other different metrics. But I mean, TrackMan is, at one point was the gold standard in Major League Baseball. So they've transitioned to some new stuff, but it's still the number one thing you're able to get it. So umpires are aware of it. That's how umpires get plate jobs in the SEC. So that everybody knows, and so it's a big deal.
So, well, Coach, let me ask you this. So, when going into recruiting, like obviously this is a big recruiting time for you, how much do you talk about analytics with the recruits and the analytics that you really utilize?
I think the main thing we talk about with the kids is the fact that we know what we're looking for, and so it's not a guesswork with us. The fact that we're willing to invest in, because that technology is not cheap, and you're willing to do it every single year and to do that. So the fact that you're able to do that, and then you're able to show proof with the players. So it's really not like the analytics part of it's just one piece of player development, and see you're going to show to make them better. And so that's what they want. They want to improve. They want to play for a winner, but they also want to get better. They want to be part of that win there.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So last thing I have for you on the recruiting front is when you look at the roster now, and obviously the portal changes everything, but how much will you go into the portal to build your team versus high school, junior college? What's kind of your philosophy in that? Because everyone's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the backbone of our program has been, kids in Southwest Louisiana. That's always been the thing, whether we're getting guys from right out of high school or coming out of junior college or whatever, just some type of connection with this space. Because, when the kids care, they play a little bit different. It's a lot different. It's not transactional in that standpoint. And then after that, you go get best players available. And so the portal's just one more avenue to be able to do that. And then, but hey, we've got that technology to use and stuff to be able to see. And so, we're going to, whatever it is that fits the program and, best players available, and we'll find a way to coach them up. Yeah.
What do you want your kids to do in the summer? Do you want them to play summer ball? What do you want them to do?
Each kid's probably a little bit different. What is it you need to do to get better? And we want you ready to go to be able to for us to figure out what our team is as early as August, September. That's the main thing. So whatever we have to do to be able to get that. Some guys are training, some guys are taking a break, some guys are playing. So we have an eye toward August and September when the boys get back. That's probably the main thing.
Coach, last question I have for you is, we talked about your team, but you obviously have had an unbelievable amount of success here. What does Coach Hill do now? I mean, obviously you got to recruit and you go into different seasons, but what do you do to recharge? What do you do to get yourself ready? Because I think as a former coach, everyone talks about the players and the team and the players, but as a coach, you need to get yourself ready too. What does that off season look like for you?
Well, I mean, I don't think any of us have the healthiest relationship with our mental health and things, so we're working on that. But you got to disconnect a little bit. You got to kind of back away because we just went, the most intense month, 4 weeks, 6 weeks of our season, and then just kind of recalibrate a little bit. Kind of disconnect. I mean, I've got some dance dad trips to go take, nationals.
There you go.
We got some things to connect with that and family, and so I mean that's probably the main thing. But then also, there's work to be done on the other side of it. But yeah, I think it's just kind of pulling back, and there's. After today, I think there'll be 16 teams playing, and so I usually feel a little bit better when nobody gets to play anymore. So after that, I feel a little bit better.
For sure.
Well, thank Justin Hill for joining us. When we get back with Coach's final thoughts on Polk Nation. Justin Hill had a good year. Again, they didn't finish the way they wanted to, but he set a different standard. But I wanted to ask you about baseball. Baseball is not a money sport.
Sure.
But you watch this week, and watching the regionals, you see places like Indiana State, a mid-major, hosting a regional.
Yeah.
You see schools like that coming up and the exposure they get to school. Could McNeese host a regional?
I think we could. The only thing I don't know is because we have turf.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're able to host a regional because we have turf. And so I'll answer this question. The reason we have turf is because of where we live.
Sure.
And because, it rains so much.
Well, I think from what I saw, is Indiana State had exactly the same turf for the same reason, because of the weather.
Right. Then if they're able to do it, then of course we would be able to do it. I think that anytime you put a mid-major on the national stage, kind of like softball did in a sense, I think it's really good for the brand of your entire athletic department. Look, every sport
it's
matters.
fun for the country.
Every sport matters, and baseball in particular really matters here because Coach Hill mentioned that they recruit locally. Well, we have as good of baseball as anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
In our area. So, we should be good in baseball. But the one thing I will tell you is that, one of the top priorities for me is to get their facility back up and running. We need to do something to become better. Their facility is not as good as it was before the hurricane.
Yeah.
And we need to. And my goal in the next couple, year or so is to get that remedied.
Yeah, that's kind of the last one that's talking about.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do we have any update on either NIL or your?
No, it's all moving. I think that the press box, I really believe that within the next week or so we should be able to have a real formal announcement on that, and it's going to be exciting. I'm really, really excited to lay it all out. Of what it's going to look like, how many suites we're going to have, all those things, because it's going to be something that my goal for the press box in every meeting I've been a part of was, obviously when you walk in, people are going to go, wow, this is really nice.
Yeah.
I want it to be 10, 20 years from now when people walk in and go, man, this is really nice, because this is our one chance. And let's not, cut corners and those things, kind of like this building. Let's make it really, really nice because we only have one chance.
What's your summer like? What's your summer going to be like?
You know what? It's busy. I would love to say that, I mentioned this to Coach Hill about finding some time. I really do need to try to find some time. I'm not very good at that. I'm not a big vacation guy. After 2 or 3 days, I get kind of antsy.
Yeah.
But I'd like to, take some Fridays here and there and make some long weekends and do some things like that. But it's really hard for me to just go somewhere and sit for 10 days and not go, bat crazy.
What are the AD meetings?
We're going to have another meeting in middle of June, and I think we're going to, try to solidify the basketball schedules at that time, which I think will be really big. And hopefully by that time,
Is there a consensus for a Monday shift? Or not a consensus?
it's not a consensus yet, but there's a lot of it has momentum for sure. A Thursday women, Saturday doubleheader men, Monday men. Excuse me. So it has some momentum. I think for me, I like it just because I think we can get probably better officials on Monday. But I think the biggest thing for us is, and for me moving forward, is I want to be on linear TV as much as possible.
Yeah.
And if that means one week we got to play on Tuesday or Thursday, I don't care. I just want to be as many times as the Southland can be on all the bars across the country on ESPNU or ESPN2 playing a game, better for us.
Would you do a midnight game or something like that?
Absolutely. I would do anything to be on TV.
I don't.
Really, I would. I would play at midnight. I'd play at 1. It doesn't matter to me. ESPN, the linear TV, that's how the Sun Belt has become the Sun Belt in football.
Oh, yeah.
So for us, I don't know why we wouldn't want to do that.
Well, you never know. Anything else?
That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, look at you. And right on time. You
Right on
become a
time.
professional at this, haven't you?
It's because I hang with you.
Don't forget to watch Sound Off this week, and watch us next week on Poke Nation. We'll see you then.